Florian, how are you, sir? I am so sorry to pull you away from your family on this week of Christmas, New Year's, but I'm here trying to take a break with the family in Cancun. But boy, it's the world comes at you sometimes, and with everything in silver, and us having so much on the go in Silver Tiger, it's been a full-on work week so far. I see all kinds of engineering documentation going back and forth on Tigre as we get ready to build that beautiful bulk tonnage deposit first at El Tigre and then go underground. And earlier this morning, spent a bunch of time looking at our drafts of our PEA, the preliminary economic assessment that's going to come out in January for the underground portion of our silver deposit. So exciting times, but wasn't planning on getting you on our Fireside Chat. I think it's number 6. But, with everything coming at me, I'm a little baffled by all that's going on with the silver price, the volatility. And I just thought, Florian, what a great time for us to take a time to have a chat about this. We want your expertise, and you're my expert. You're many people's experts across the globe. So just tell us what you're seeing. I've been, of course, as I'm in the evenings trying to relax, looking at all the stories about what's going on with the volatility and understanding some of the factors. It seems like we have a whole range of a perfect storm brewing up here for January. So many pulls on silver with respect to supply, with respect to banks holding short positions, with respect to what China's doing. It seems to be a perfect storm brewing, and love to know your thoughts on it, Florian. I'll give a little update maybe at the end for a minute or two on El Tigre, but really you're the star of the show today. So please let me know what you're thinking and share some of your expertise with myself and, of course, anyone who chooses to listen to us.
Sure, yeah. Thank you, Glenn. It's great to be here again with you. Merry Christmas, belated Merry Christmas, I think we can say. I hope you had a great holiday and have a great holiday over there in Mexico, muchacho.
Thank you.
I mean, it's been a crazy run in silver the last 2 months. I'm not sure if people are aware that once we had this breakthrough $50 back in October, and then this first overshot to 54, 45-ish spot price silver. And then we had this big $9 pullback down to $45 end of October. And since then, from $45, silver went straight up to 84 in a matter of 2 months. I mean, that's
incredible.
I mean, I've been very honest here. I didn't expect it that 84% in 2 months. I mean, that's crazy. It's really crazy. I mean, we have been talking about silver price and everything for years and decades. I mean, I'm following silver prices now for 25 years. And in my life, I haven't seen a move like that, to be honest. I know guys who were around in the 1970s have seen that move from $2 to $50 within 2 years. And I think overall, in the bigger scheme of things, we are in a similar situation here. This move over the last 2 months has been insane, unbelievable, crazy. And of course, lots of rumors, speculation, stories, news, and people showing up who never talked about silver and everybody going banana. I mean, that's the nature of markets. That's the nature of bull markets as well. I think we have to put it in perspective. As I said, it went up 84% in 2 months. On Monday early morning in the Asian overnight trading session, it went up to $84, new all-time high, and then it reversed hard and came down 16% yesterday, right? And I think the low came in at $70.50, roughly speaking. And today we're trading already at 76 again. So just if you bought last evening, you're already up nearly 10% in silver. I mean, it's insane.
Amazing.
And that's part of the bull market. It's very important that people understand it, that this crazy volatility is part of the bull market to scare you out of your long position, right? Whatever it is, if you hold the physical metal, if you hold the mining stocks, or if you actually trade futures, this volatility is trying to basically throw you out from this bull market. And that's very important to understand. And I mean, I've been saying for quite a while now that I believe silver is going to 100. Right now we have seen 84. I think in the bigger picture, everything's fine. We are on the track. We have seen now what silver can achieve in a rather short period of time. I don't think any of the bullish reasons have gone away just because we had the spike over the last 2 months. The gold silver ratio at currently 57. I mean, you can say that silver is not that drastically undervalued anymore as it used to be over the last few years. But still, I don't believe that this overall secular bull market in precious metals is topping out with a gold silver ratio at 57. I expect at least 30, rather probably 15 to 10, maybe even single digit kind of ratio at the end of this bull,
Wow.
because it's a once in a generation kind of bull market. And I think there is so many factors in the background playing into that whole bull market that it is not topping out here at 57. So
So,
we
so,
might
so
see a little bit of a breather here in the short term, but I think what we have learned over the last 1.5 years, looking at gold and at silver, whenever you had these sharp pullbacks, usually the lows came in rather very quickly, often within the first few days of a pullback. Maximum, it took 2 weeks. I think last year we had a 2 week pullback until the low was in. And afterwards, it was always just like consolidating on high levels before the market was getting ready to move higher again and take out those all-time highs and then continue to move higher. So I don't think we're going to see here a lengthy multi-months, 1 year consolidation or something. I think it could take a few days and weeks. But overall, I'm pretty optimistic that we're going to see new all-time highs in silver next year because all the bullish reasons are still there. And we know that silver supply is tight. We know there is not many new silver producers coming online. In fact, silver is mainly a byproduct of.
well, except for El Tigre now. Don't forget El Tigre.
Exactly.
Had to
That's
get
the
that
bridge
plug
I
in.
wanted to build for you. but usually silver is a byproduct. And
Yes.
big copper mines are not able to ramp up silver production just because the price went up. It's very inelastic, so to speak, the supply side of silver. And I mean, when we talk about fundamentals, of course, China is the elephant in the room. Um, we know that the physical market with the Shanghai Gold Exchange and the physical trading over there have overtaken not only the gold market, but also the silver market. Massive demand for the solar industry, conductor industry, for the car and battery industry, and that will not go away. And at the same time, I think we also have to remind ourselves that if we go back in history, in the 1930s, the Americans did something similar when they basically brought in the law, the Silver Purchase Act, where they, in 1934, basically they forced the US government to buy huge amounts of silver. And back then, silver was actually part of the monetary system in China. And due to the high prices that United States were willing to pay to accumulate more physical silver, lots, if not most, of silver has left back then China, the physical silver, and went all into the West and to America. And that put China into difficult, very difficult situations. And I think in the very big scheme of things, the Chinese working on something similar. And we know that they have cornered the gold market basically, and I think they now have also cornered the silver market basically.
So that's very, very, very interesting in that, Florian, because when you look at this, and people don't realize 70% of the silver refined in the world almost comes out of China, and
Right.
for Mexico, where we are, very important. 25% of the world's silver on an annual basis. Number two silver producer in the world, people forget, is China. And the second thing that we have to really focus on here is the news over the last several days, where China have come out and said, as of January 1st, export ban on silver leaving China. Start to think about how that's going to affect things. I think there's a number of things we're going to talk about, and I think it's important. But that is absolutely, one of the most important.
Right. So similar to the critical mineral sector, where we have learned over this year that basically, I mean, it's been not new for us in the mining industry, but let's say the general public became aware of it, that the Chinese basically have more or less a monopoly on the critical earth and critical minerals sector, and how important they are for any of the future technologies. Now we are seeing the same situation basically with silver. And it's clear that the Chinese considering silver a very important geopolitical
Yes.
strategic metal now. And so any silver that wants to leave China basically needs a permit from the government. So
If people don't think this is a geopolitical play, so let's think about how that shapes up. Okay, now let's talk about the U.S. banks and the U.S. having to protect the U.S. banks, and that means the Fed getting involved, and they did last week. I think it was to the tune of $17 billion. The short positions of many of the U.S. banks find themselves in with respect to silver. Fascinating. I think the test went up last week, where when that silver started to run, you saw the Fed come in and I think it was 17 billion. Don't quote me. Come in to protect some of the downside for some of the U.S. banks. Why? I mean, J.P. Morgan, I think just, and people are aware of it now, or if they're not, we'll tell you, pulled the biggest bait and switch maybe in, in the history of the silver market for sure. They were always at the head of that cartel with that 200 million silver equivalent ounce short they got from Bear Stearns back in when Bear Stearns failed. They sat on that. Everybody thought that was an anchor around their neck. And they were suppressing the price of silver. Well, of course they were. But then as of several days ago, wow, they left, and that was a group of, I called it the cartel of banks. HSBC, Scotiabank, BNP Paribas, I think UBS, Deutsche Bank were in there, Citigroup, Goldman, all short. Billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars short if they were forced to basically buy and cover on their silver shorts. JP Morgan left the group. The band of pirates were broke up. They basically covered their position quietly over the last week or two on the 200 million and now have told the world we have 750 million silver equivalent ounces that we now have purchased. How? Who knows how? But Jamie Dimon is a predator, and he's sitting there in a world, because I'm always a supply and demand guy. You know that. In a world where there's not enough silver, and now he's sitting saying, "Look, there's nothing in the COMEX. There's nothing. Think about what they have in the vaults in London, etc. It's 30, 40 million silver equivalent ounces. He's cornered the market. This is like a Hunt Brothers play. Do you think Jamie Dimon now wants the price to go up? I think he probably does. But I think he's brilliant. And you see it all over the internet. They're talking about even Elon Musk tweeting about silver. And I don't follow social media, but people advise me. And what he's saying is this is really, really bad for the technology industry. We need our silver. Well, I would say, guess who's going to basically come and be the savior who's going to sell them that silver at a very, very high price? I'd say it's going to be JP Morgan. So it's a fascinating what's going on. But the game between the Chinese and the Americans is very important too, because boy, if there's a silver shortage in the US, this is the rare earths moment, because it's the same thing. And I think that's a huge part of it, the geopolitical. There's other reasons we'll talk about, but boy, I think people should focus in on that. There's a real battle going on here geopolitically, and silver is the weapon right now. Incredibly, we've wandered right in to be the bullets in a war.
exactly. No, you're absolutely right, and I think you nailed it with everything that you said. But of course, we also have to add. I mean, they're gonna print more money. They have been printing in the last few days again. Uh, Basically, officially, the Fed is back
Right.
on some
Correct.
form of QE, which is overall the big driver for the secular bull market since 25 years, since the burst of the internet bubble in 2000, when they started to lowering interest rates for the first time significantly. This bull market is on the run. And I mean, people losing the confidence in the fiat money system. That's still the most important and strongest driver. And I can tell you, here in Germany, when you go to the bullion stores, it's hard to get your hands on silver these days. I mean, most of them are sold out. It becomes unobtainable. Like we always said over the years, sometimes you pay huge premium just to get something. And more people waking up to it, more people understanding that there is a connection between your grocery prices going higher, your money basically becoming more and more worthless, and at the same time, gold and silver being one of the very few, if not the only remaining safe havens that you can really use in these days. So I think the whole recipe is still massive here, and it's not changing. And I think this, don't forget, I mean, this is a bull market now for 25 years. And if we study precious metal bull markets, the vast majority of the rise comes in the last 15% time. So we are probably starting this ascent here in silver and gold prices. So I
Wow.
in the next few years, I expect much higher prices.
So I think coming January we have first, and that's why I want to prepare everyone. And what we're seeing is you've explained a lot. We've talked about the banks, the geopolitical. I think that that silver gold ratio, once that gets under 60 to 1, you'll see a lot now of talk from the business talking heads that all the massive pension funds that have to basically hold gold and silver when that ratio goes below 60 to 1, that's kind of a rule they have. They have to rebalance. That means they have to buy more. So we're going to see that starting to kick in, I think, soon as we go under 60 to 1. Man, if we're going to 15 or 10 like you think, wow, it's going to be a very, very exciting time for all of us. But a lot of things coming. I think the perfect storm is coming the 1st of January. I think everybody's home eating their leftover turkey, getting ready for their big New Year's party tomorrow night. But I can tell you next Monday, Tuesday, when everybody gets back and everybody looks up and sees what's happened and goes, we, as we've always said, how many times have you heard me? Supply demand. We make 800 million silver equivalent ounces. We need today 1.2, and now solar and tech and AI and all of it driving more and more. Something has to give, and it's giving right now. And oh boy, when China comes on and puts that ban on, there's a lot coming that I think is going to be very exciting for us. But look,
Don't
two
forget the
things. Please,
investment demand. Don't
go ahead.
forget the investment demand, right? Because that's
Oh,
really
I
the
forgot. I never think of that. I'm just a supply guy. I make it for yeah, you're right. Of course we can't forget that.
kicker, in a tight supply and demand situation. You didn't had a lot of investment demand for silver over the last few decades. I mean, we had this run up in 2010 and 11, but overall, it's been rather small, the investment demand, and this is coming now full force at this market because
On top of the shortage we have.
everybody's waking up to silver now, right?
Oh
And
my goodness. I didn't think about that enough. I should.
yeah, 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 of course.
Incredible. So last week, and I think we want to be short. Everybody's busy. It's Christmas, and you're busy, and I want you to get back to your family. But a couple of things. We know that you can play the metal. I think you now. I think we start to see that window for a company that's, and we talked about this, playing the juniors, especially the developers that in this cycle could get to production. We're that company. I'm not going to hide and say we're not. We are. We're very fortunate to have got the first new permit in Mexico for an open pit since 2019. We're executing an 18-month plan to get that thing built. PEA coming, preliminary economic assessment for a big underground silver mine to follow that in January of this year. So I think we're perfectly positioned. But do you see it? Forgetting that I'm totally self-interested in that statement, I'd like your, you know, I am. I'm not hiding that. We've been working very hard for more than a decade to get to the position we're in when the world is ready for what we have. So good for us. But the juniors now, this is when they should really start, especially the junior developers, to really start to maybe give a more alpha return than even the metal. Is that correct? Because we've talked about this.
I think so. I mean, just one very simple fact, and people have seen it yesterday. Of course, if you just invest in physical metal, you have no problem sitting through a day like yesterday, right? But if you want to have some form of a leverage, yesterday is a day that can kill your account, right? If you trade futures or some leveraged ETF or something. But if you hold a silver mining stock, I mean, Silver Tiger didn't have any problem yesterday.
We went up yesterday.
Exactly. And so I think that's already giving a good foresight of where we're going here. Uh, Playing this market via the stocks now, I think is the ticket for 2026. And I think Silver Tiger is perfectly positioned here on the Lassonde curve. It couldn't get better. I mean,
Thank
you're
you.
right on the way into production the next 1.5 years in this totally new silver mine price environment. There is no other company right now in that position when it comes to silver, and I mean, I think the miners have so much to catch up, and you're gonna see much more mainstream big money coming into the big gold and silver mining stocks, meaning the Agnicos, the Newmont, the Barrick, and the Heclas, and that will trickle down to all the juniors and then also the even smaller companies. So I think the miners will have a massive run in 2026. And that's where my money is, and that's where my focus also is now for the new year.
Wonderful. Well, look, let's on that. I think let me give a minute. As I said earlier, as most people know or don't know, in November, El Tigre was issued the first new permit in Mexico since 2019. This was for the bulk tonnage open pit deposit at El Tigre to build that out. We're well on the way to that. As an example, final engineering is coming in. Camp is being developed. The whole plan is under our team that have done this many times before, led by Francisco Albalez. We're building that out. That's an 18-month build, and it's that's a sub 100 million US capex project, which we have more than half the cash in the bank for, and access to as much capital as we need to finish it. That's number one. And the PEA for the underground, which will be a long life underground silver mine, coming out in January. And we're working on all of this through Christmas, and I'll update folks more early in the new year with exactly where that is. But we could not be in a better position. We're very fortunate to have worked hard for the decade. It took a decade, Florian, hard for a decade, hundreds of millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of meters, PEAs, MREs, PFSs, to get to the point now where we're building in this environment. So very, very exciting. So, SLVR, that's our stock on the in Canada, SLVTF in the United States. It's really nice to see when you look at the performance of our stock, especially this year, up considerably, and even up on these volatile moments. I think the sky's the limit for us. So I want to thank you for today. Very, very important. I think that people over Christmas, over New Year's, we're still out of the quiet period, maybe get to reflect and look at what you're talking about so they understand what's really going on. There will be volatility expected, but also to think and look towards, as you said, not my words. I'll be very biased when it comes to El Tigre, but how the juniors and the junior developers now are really, especially those that are building, are now in a position to take advantage of what's coming. So incredible. Thank you. I'll say Merry Christmas again. I said it 3 or 4 days ago. I did not think we'd be talking again, but the world and events have led to it. So I don't think we'll be talking before. Listen, if silver goes to $150 overnight, then we'll do another one tomorrow, but I don't expect that's going to happen. All right, listen, have a great Christmas and New Year's with your family, what's left of Florian. It's always a pleasure to get your insights. Very, very helpful for me, but I hope that anyone who listens, I think it'll be very helpful for them also. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Appreciate it. For you and the family, always the same.
Yes, sir.
New Year. And also, of course, to all the viewers, Happy New Year. All the best for all of us. And I want to see silver at 100 next year.
Wonderful. And I reiterate your warm, Happy New Year to all of our listeners also. Thank you.